committee. We're going to reconvene the budget committee meeting. Our first delegations is, unless anybody feels we need a recap of, does anybody feel we need a recap of yesterday? I think we're all pretty fresh in our minds since we were here so late last night. Our first delegation is from the downtown Brampton BIA. Susie? Thank you, Susie, for emailing us over your presentation. We have a hard copy in front of us now, too. That's all.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, I just wanted to start today by saying that I'm here on behalf of the Downtown Brampton Board of Directors, and I have our Vice Chair here, Christina Ramasco, who's going to be part of our presentation. And I did want to say thank you to everybody for allowing us to come and delegate the 2018 budget. Okay, so for starters, I just wanted to give you guys a quick recap on our budget planning process. We plan our budget concurrently with the City of Brampton. And back in July and August, we opened up workshops to the public, or BIA membership, with regards to garnering feedback from the general business district. And we took that information back to the board of directors and our planning committees, and came back, and we're here today to go through those initiatives. For starters, I wanted to just recap the vision and mission of the Downtown Brampton BIA. Downtown Brampton is a respected and welcoming destination dedicated to bringing people together for quality shopping, services, and entertainment. Our mission is to promote and enhance the downtown Brampton through marketing, events, and beautification. Okay. Our key services, again, are beautification, marketing, events, and communication, membership engagement, safety from an advisory perspective, and capital improvements and maintenance. We are governed by a 12 board of directors, and 4 of them are part of council. And there are 3 staff at our office. Myself, we have a membership coordinator and marketing and events specialist. And right now I'm just going to walk through some of our 2017 highlights. For starters, we conducted a membership survey back in the spring of 2017. And following that, we pulled together our board of directors and business volunteers to develop a 3-year strategic plan, which Christina is going to say a few words about in a few minutes. We also wanted to make note of the partnerships that we have with the City of Brampton, and we have worked with the city on a number of different initiatives, and we're guesstimating there's approximately $100,000 worth of in-kind services. So we wanted to acknowledge those things because they're not reflected in our current budget that you see. So those things could be in-kind services for road closures to financial services through our treasurer Z. Oh, and Rick Evans is here. Sorry, Rick. And I also wanted to highlight, we work with the city on Bike to Work Day. We host a Meet the Beat event in June for the downtown businesses. And in 2017, we also worked with the city on a pilot program for A-frames in the downtown core, which is currently still in progress. We also came to council just recently to get a seat on the City of Brampton Safety Advisory Committee. From a marketing perspective and events perspective, we host a number of events throughout the year, and a lot of them are family-geared events, as you can see, trick-or-treating, Easter egg hunt, breakfast with Santa. Those family-geared events are very successful programs for the downtown core, and we have seen record crowds even in the rain. So we're really proud of those initiatives. The whole idea here is to bring more people into the downtown core and into our businesses. I also wanted to take note that we have repackaged classic cars for 2016 and 17 with Party in the Lanes, and we are a sponsor to a number of events in the downtown core, including Lusophonio, Latin Festival, Live Art Competition, the World of Jazz, and the International Food Festival. We also are in full progress with our Sparkle Shop and Dine Christmas campaign, so we're really proud of that. And this weekend you'll be seeing Christmas trees coming into the downtown core through partnerships with local schools. So at this time, I wanted to invite Christina Ramasco to say a few words back to our strategic plan.
Thank you. My name is Christina Ramasco. I'm Vice Chair of the BIA. So in spring of this year, we started our strategic planning process under the guidance and with the materials provided by OMACRA through the provincial government. And we called together 25 to 30 members, stakeholders, community groups to have their input with our strategic plan. Thank you. And we identified 3 major goals for the next 3 years. That is to increase membership engagement, to raise the perceived value of downtown Brampton, to create a cool and friendly vibe here, and to create synergy with the City of Brampton for the betterment of downtown. And to accomplish those goals, we are going to be actively using our strategic plan, creating a focused action plan that aligns back to it, an events plan, marketing and communication. We are developing a full membership strategy, including sponsorship, and this downtown capital project, which will always be part of what we're doing for the next 3 years.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through our 2018 initiatives.
Susie, can you hang on for a second? Can I get somebody to move a motion to give us extra time? Councilor Willens, thank you. All in favor?
Okay.
Thank you. We're at the 5-minute mark, so we're just
Sorry about
get some
that.
extra
Okay.
time now.
I'll make it quick. Okay, so back to our initiatives. I'm just going to walk you through our committee initiatives. From a beautification perspective, we were planning to work with Sheridan, but the strike that we just heard, went through. We'll be working with Sheridan College in the new year on a visual merchandising program with the downtown businesses. We do a number of window decorating contests with the businesses, and we're going to be coming back to council recommending a permanent A-frame program for the downtown core, like every downtown has A-frames in their downtown. We do a planter rebate program, and we'll be doing hanging baskets again for 2018, and again the Sparkle Shop and Dine, that sign that is in Garden Square. These are beautification initiatives for 2018. And from an events perspective, we are gearing up for the streetscaping improvements, so we will be modifying our current event roster with regards to the construction constraints. So we're working closely with the city on those details, and in the new year we will hear more. But as you can see, a detailed overview from Valentine's Day to Christmas in downtown Brampton. The BIA is a sponsor to a number of events, so the events committee will be working with the community at large on new initiatives and sponsorships for 2018. And from a food and drink perspective, we're just gearing up for the 2018 A Taste of Downtown Brampton. And moving into marketing and communications, as Christina outlined the 3-year strategic plan, our marketing initiatives will be aligned back to those 3 corporate goals. And we're always building on our market data at special events and identifying our key performance indicators. And we're always trying to strengthen our destination marketing campaign through Discover Downtown Brampton. We are focused on digital and social media, and of course, from an internal marketing perspective, membership engagement, and that came out loud and clear in our strategic plan and membership survey. Key deliverables for 2018 include our Downtown Brampton magazine, regular newsletters and communication tools to the businesses, and of course, with the streetscaping improvements on the horizon, regular communications back to the business district. Part of our marketing budget is through a contribution of $40,000 or through a grant that the city historically gives the BIA of $40,000. So we are working closely with Bob and his team on destination marketing. In the past, those dollars have been allocated to events, but we've made a change in 2017 to focus more on keeping the downtown Brampton top of mind to the local community, and this partnership allows us to leverage dollars and initiatives with the city staff. I'm going to walk you through our membership engagement program right now, and again, we do regular programs like regular welcome visits, our membership package, regular communications to the downtown business owners, And we'll be hosting some new events in 2018 from a retail and shopping perspective. And we're going to be continuing to advocate on behalf of our membership. And we're always looking to increase engagement and outreach and add more value to the business district and this property owners. Moving into safety, we have a Downtown Brampton Safety Committee, and we will be looking forward to having an active voice on safety initiatives and issues in the downtown core through the city's initiatives. We will be working with the city on Bike to Work Day. We'll be hosting some workshops and, of course, Meet the Beat in June. From a revenue perspective, we just wanted to highlight that the BIA levy for 2018 is $392,943. It's just, we flatlined our BIA levy this year with the upcoming streetscaping improvements, and we do have an operational grant for rent relief, as well as the marketing partnership of $40,000 from the city. In addition to that, we have sponsorship and marketing revenues, and if we need to, we'll be pulling from the reserve to keep our budget balanced. So, as you can see, there's the breakdown of 2018 with the projections for 2019 and 20, and moving into a summary for 2018. Our levy is just shy of $393, and I just wanted to see if there were any questions.
Thank you, Susie. We have a couple of council members on. Councillor Moore?
Just wait. Thank you. Thank you, Susie, for your presentation. I want to congratulate you and the Board of Directors as well. This is a relatively new BIA, even though Brampton has had a BIA for a good number of years. Your hiring and taking on the role of Executive Director, you've done a tremendous job of putting shape and form around an organization that had a sort of a 10-year hiatus from the traditional role of the BIA in Brampton. So in some respects, you're sort of reinventing yourself with a new board, and I think everybody's done a remarkable job. I just want to thank you for recognizing the in-kind services of the city. I know from, just conversations with councillors from other municipalities that, Brampton, this council has really made a concerted effort to support our downtown BIA. And it's important to us that you recognize that support. I asked during the pre-budget consultations with staff if they could put together a grant and in-kind services list, and I don't know whether you've got the book. We got it yesterday. And it was sort of pointed out yesterday, it's not comprehensive in any regard, because it's got there's things that are missing from there, and you've highlighted a couple like payroll and IT support, and you've acknowledged the rent subsidy and things like that. So it truly is a partnership, and I think that myself and staff commit to keeping an open line of communication so that we don't have clumsy baton exchanges in the future. But
I just want to say thank you, Elaine. I say this because I've mentioned it before in other presentations. A lot of BIs do not have the contributions like the lights on the streets right now, and in Queen and Main, and the hanging baskets in the summertime, and a lot of BIs have to pay for that 100%. So I do thank you from the business district and the board of directors and myself. And also just the leadership that the city has taken. I haven't had a chance to highlight because we don't have a lot of time, but all the leadership and the new initiatives for the downtown core coming down the pipeline with the university and downtown reimagined. So thank you for taking
I think the goal
leadership.
is to allow the BIA to really focus on initiatives that will have a true impact in the downtown. So if you don't need to worry about some of that other stuff,
Great.
It helps you to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Medeiros.
For the chair, I think Councillor Moore has probably captured a lot what I wanted to say, and I'm glad that she touched upon the relationship that City of Brampton has with the BIA and the support. I know under Director Darling's leadership and the staff really see a great relationship with the BIA. In terms of, as we go, just regarding your budget, it's a prudent budget. As we go into, I guess, the street escapement and all that work, I think in terms of the marketing, and something that it was talked about at the board meeting, how important it is, the marketing around that we're open for business, because that's really going to impact that. And I see that the marketing materials that you have, and this is where that collaboration with the city is going to be so important, that we really promote that message and whatever sort of marketing tools that we need to use to ensure residents that, that is open for business and let people try to attract it downtown, because that is going to be quite the challenge. And when it comes from budgetary, I guess when you're trying to promote it, and I'm sure your materials are going to have to be geared towards that, so that might have a little bit of an impact on going forth. But then that's where I think staff is going to really have to take the baton and really help you guys out in that capacity.
Thank you, Councillor Medeiros. And I did want to say that our marketing committee is in full gear right now of planning some new creative initiatives for the marketing from a business perspective on the upcoming streetscaping improvements, and we will be working with Bob and his team on partnerships, so we're not duplicating initiatives or budgets. So we're looking forward. We did reach out to council back in October with a letter of support with regards to Downtown Reimagined and a number of suggestions and ideas to minimize business disruption, because from our perspective, no matter what, there will be business disruption and our membership will be affected. So we will be working closely with Bob and his team on how we can minimize that and communicate to the public at large, membership and local residents.
Yeah, and through the chair, and I think that's going to be really critical, that communication. And we keep elaborating about it. There's sometimes some hiccups like anything, but that collaboration in terms of promoting, because there is going to be a business hit. And, it's almost how do we weather the storm and ensuring that you have the right resources to promote the downtown throughout this difficult period. So. Yeah.
And as I said through the chair, we will be collaborating with the city, and once we know more details on the construction schedule, we did have a meeting in November with the region of Peel, but we will be in the next few months working very closely with Bob and his team to just strategize on how we can keep everybody informed and have lots of lead time so the businesses know what's going on and that we're listening to those concerns, not just saying we are, but that we're actively participating in various issues that will be affected in the downtown core.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Susie. I'll need a motion. Councilor Moore, would you like to move it to receive the delegation? All in favor? That carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is from the Brampton Public Library and Rebecca Raven. And I'm going to suggest maybe we start off with 10 minutes for them rather than I have to disrupt them after 5. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. We'll just do that. They get 10 minutes. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Gibson. Thank you for the extra 5 minutes right off the top. You took the first thing on my list of asks, so we just focus on the money ask now.
You stick to 5 minutes, you might get it.
So, Chair Gibson, members of council, members of staff, thank you for your time today. I'm here on behalf of the Brampton Library, on behalf of our team, as well as some members of our board, both Janice Howard, board member and former chair, and Councillor Willens, actually, who serves on our board as well. Thank you very much for making the time to be here today in support of this conversation. We're here on behalf of the Brampton Library, and as you know, we are a world-class facility here, sharing our mission here that we developed in the last year and was supported by council, and our new branding as well that was supported by council. Thank you very much. The response from the community has been overwhelmingly positive. This is the mission that guides our work as an organization dedicated to building on and promoting innovation, diversity, and cohesion and pride in our community. And one of the things that we're very proud of as an organization is that we don't do our work alone, but we do it in conjunction with many of the other organizations within our community, that we are a collaborator and always have been and look forward to continuing to be so. Some facts about where we have been as a library. We've had some tremendous growth and have made some real positive impacts in our community over the past few years. The number of residents visiting our branch has been over 2 million in the past year alone. We have over 12,000 of courses available to our members of our community, available electronically, online, 24/7. They're being accessed through lynda.com and other e-resources that we have available to them. making sure that we serve as an opportunity for learning and growth, not just during normal business hours, but at all times and to all people, really promoting accessibility within our community. And ultimately, just growing not just on the side of our collections, but on the side of our programmings, and ensuring that we provide convenience and access to all members of our community in all our resources. Oh, thank you. I'm sure you've heard this before. We're a very lean organization. We are an exemplar of efficiency in the world of libraries. We run doing a lot less than most libraries and communities of our size do. However, we're very proud of the impacts that we continue to make. Despite those challenges, we continue to grow. We have 6 branches presently, with a 7th due to open very shortly, and hopefully an 8th coming in the Bram West as well. So despite being forced to be efficient, we continue to prove that we can be effective. We're the most efficient large library system in the country, with about $30 per capita. We make do with the smallest collection and about the smallest square foot of any major library in Canada as well. But despite that, making sure our engagement, our programming, and the access that we provide to our community continues to grow at all times. There are some pressures, obviously, that are upon us right now. Like every department and city service in the city, we're faced on the pressures as our community continues to grow, but also continues to become more diverse. And the challenges in our community, the asks are not just about more numbers, but more diversity and more complex services as well. And these are things that we're working hard to keep on top and with pace with. Specifically, demand in attendance in our programs and classes has grown tremendously. The numbers of programs offered by the library has gone up 53% to over 5,000 programs in 2016 alone. And the attendance in these programs has more than doubled over the past few years, up 116%, meaning that over 185,000 Bramptonians attended in person an event or program in the library, to say nothing of those who come in to make use of it as a study space, as an opportunity to take out books for their leisure or their own personal growth, or as a place just to access Wi-Fi or congregate or spend some time. So we're talking about tremendous impact in our community. The public library continues to serve as the epicenter for ensuring our community is digitally literate as well, not only providing access, but also providing instruction on our computers and applications, but also furthermore with emerging technologies that may not be accessible otherwise to residents of our community. So here we're talking about our 3D printing, our vinyl cutters, our deep virtual reality headsets, the new sound and recording studios that we've opened up at our Chinguacousy branch. Essentially what we're providing not only is access to resources that our community would not otherwise have access to in their personal homes, but really setting the stage for entrepreneurship, extending the learning that happens in our school boards and through Sheridan, and ultimately helping provide the job skills and inspire the job skills that are necessary for a future-ready Brampton. Lastly, we do have exciting times ahead. We are, like I had mentioned, we're opening up our 7th branch in Springdale shortly, and we're planning for a new iconic downtown branch in conjunction with Ryerson and Sheridan. We know that council and staff both support this vision of collaborative shared spaces where we will provide programming working in conjunction with other partners to really make some benchmark and global destinations here in Brampton. Furthermore, we have a new mobile van that was approved in last year's budget that's about to come online, bringing our collection to members of our community who may not otherwise have easy access to our branches. And lastly, a new Bram West location looking to come up and serve our communities as they continue to grow here in Brampton. Finally, as part of our strategic and operational contributions, we've been really proud to contribute and participate in the Future Ready conversations, in the conversations that have come about through the Arts and Culture Steering Committee, and the conversations that happen around Ryerson University coming to Brampton. And we look forward to continuing to be a vital and valuable resource to Bramptonians now and in the years to come. And with that said, I'm going to turn over to Rebecca, who will talk a little bit about what are the pieces that we need support from in order to make these visions a reality.
Thank you.
The real presentation now.
Yeah, thanks. So I get
Took up
to,
all
I
your
get to
time,
speak.
Rebecca. Your time's done. He's gone.
Okay, can I just sit down then?
No.
No, I get to speak to the actual nuts and bolts. We are here with a significant request, and believe me, I understand that asking for an increase of $1.1 million to our $15.6 million operating budget is not insignificant. We understand that this is a big ask, and it includes funding for staffing for the planned new Bram West location. I was also really pleased yesterday, and I'm sorry that Councillor Miles isn't here this morning, to hear her talk about the need for a position to identify grant opportunities. Our request also includes a position not only to identify grant opportunities for the public library sector, but also to investigate the opportunity, the very real opportunity, to leverage our status, as a registered charity and launch a capital campaign in support of the new Downtown Central Library. I think that poses a real opportunity for us in the city. So we're very excited by the potential of the new Bram West location. Brampton Library has had great success with interim locations in the past. We've talked about this here, providing access at an introductory service level. It helps us to build support in the community until a permanent full-service location can be established, and this is increasingly the way of the future. We want more nimble and responsive service points to meet the changing needs of our changing neighborhoods in the city. So the additional funding for 3 positions will allow us to continue to grow that digital literacy programming, the STEM initiatives. This is what J. Paul referenced earlier. The number of people attending our programs has doubled in the last few years. It's a significant use of our facilities. The response has really been overwhelming. And again, the launch of the recording studio at the revitalized Chinguacousy branch has demonstrated just how hungry our community is for access to these kinds of services. Our capital request also grows over the 3-year budget cycle. By 2019, I think it's important to note here, we will have expended the reserve balance which had been accrued, and we will be looking for the city to resume funding for our print collection, i.e. books, that remain essential to our operations. And now back to J. Paul.
And just lastly, to put a personal face on some of the numbers we're talking about here. One of the things that makes me proud to volunteer and put my time into the library is recognizing how valuable a community resource it is. That myself, and I'm sure for many of the folks in this room, if not all of us, at some point or to some degree, owe the success that we've had, whether it be academic, professional, or social, to the times that we spent in the libraries, whether it was getting a resource, an opportunity to study, connect with people. They're a key resource in our community that we all, take great benefit from. But what we wanted to do to end this presentation was just a quick snapshot of, a personal face and a personal story with the library. Excuse me, that sometimes perhaps we don't always think about. And this is Rajesh. Rajesh is a newcomer to our community who, within 3 days of coming to Brampton, recognized, if he wanted to be successful and look after his family, the most important thing he could do was first come to us and make sure he got a library card. And in doing so, allowing him not just to have access to, a place where he could get information about the city, but also be able to get information to help him get a career started. Information was necessary to help him get his family organized into schools, navigate our systems. We are a place not just to look after those Bramptonians who are here right now, but we are a gateway. As much as Brampton is a gateway to the world, the library is a gateway to Brampton. And our newcomer population, which is always growing and is vital to where we want to go as a community, knows to come to us. And on a personal side note, I'm with a group of a number of individuals. Rick is part of that group. We're sponsoring a family coming from Syria. Will be arriving this Thursday in our community. And one of the first things we'll be doing is we'll be taking them to the library to get involved in our award-winning and much recognized newcomer tours that we do here, taking people that have just come to Brampton around and showing them where they can get resources, how they can integrate, and how they can make the best of their lives here in Brampton. So I just want to use this opportunity to thank you for supporting our request and remembering that you're not just supporting an organization, but you're supporting people now and in the future in this community by supporting us. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going to happen now. You went over 10 minutes.
It's always the plan, Councillor. You know how I operate.
That's why I said 10 minutes from the beginning. Okay, Councillor Willens.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Thank you, J. Paul, and thank you, Rebecca, for coming in today. It's nice, always nice to see the library here in front of council. You guys do wonderful work. I mean, you look at the amount of people that you have, like you say, you've doubled, and just the things you do in the resident. A lot of this does tie back into getting people ready for a workforce in Brampton. It gets the pre-university students ready for university. Gets the post-educated people ready for the world. So it's great, and you do it all as the least funded library in Canada, I believe. So good work, keep it up, and I have no problem with what you've brought forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay. Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you, through the chair. Thanks for the presentation. I agree with you when you talked about I guess, this individual, where I've, witnessed that the libraries are being used in a very different manner. And right in my first, couple of weeks in office, when we did the tours of the libraries, it's just amazing. I guess my question is going to be around the benefit. So South Fletcher's, as an example, being in our ward, and we recognize the library, Councillor Bowen and myself, so much that we did a town hall at the library, because we recognize that essentially is almost a community hub. Can you talk to me about the benefit of having the library in conjunction with the recreational facility? Because I almost find it's almost like a seamless service, allowing families to drop off their kids at the gym, parents go to the library, vice versa. Can you speak to that collaboration?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Absolutely. We really value the opportunity to partner with any city partner, but most especially recreation, because as you say, it's a match made in heaven. It becomes a seamless event for a family to come. The parents drop their kids off for swim lesson. They can drop into the library, pick up a few things, access some of our resources, and likewise after the swim lessons, the kids come in and pick their stuff up. It really is. So anytime that it's possible, and that's why we're looking towards an interim location in the southwest portion of the city, because we know that there's a larger center planned, and we hope and plan to be part of that.
And I guess through the chair, thank you. And I think, Al, you probably know where I'm going with this and setting up the question is, and I'm not sure if that's direction that maybe we'll consider later, especially the downtown councillors or the councillors who don't have those recreational facilities. If there's an opportunity that we can merge the library with recreational facility and put it over there on the west side that can serve both our communities, I think we have a great opportunity here to consider. I'll wait for the other councillors to weigh in, but I think I'm not sure about as an interim solution, or if we can already maybe think about going for gold right now. So I'll wait for the other councillors to talk, but thank you so much.
Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Councillor Medeiros, for recognizing that Ward 5 doesn't have any civic infrastructure located
And Ward 1.
physically within it. Ward 1 has Central Public School.
No libraries.
No libraries. Okay. Maybe you could get me that box of Kleenex from over there. I'm going to start to cry any moment. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question around the southwest location. And you clarified a little bit. You're looking at an interim space, much like we did in the Springdale community. Okay. Because my question originally was, before you made the comment, was did you own land in that area? What was the plan? So when you look at a more permanent space in that part of the world, are you looking at it in conjunction with what the city has planned in the Credit Valley secondary area? Okay, because the two areas are going to be, I don't think the recreation center is going that far south. Can somebody maybe help me out here? I understood that we have a large recreation presence planned in Ward 6. That'll be their third, fourth, or fifth recreation center. But along Embleton Road and Heritage Road.
Why don't we let the Commissioner respond?
Through the chair, the city is currently looking at potentially locating a recreation center in the Mississauga Road and Embleton area.
Okay, so you're looking at an interim location that's south from there, quite a bit south from there. Are you looking at Financial Drive north or south of Steeles?
North of Steeles.
Okay, north of Steeles. Okay, I'm sorry. I just Googled it to sort of orient myself on where Financial Drive was, and it starts south of Steeles, so I wasn't sure. Oh, okay.
I'll take the map in my head for a second, but we will be on the north side of Steeles, so it won't be too far afield from where the recreational center ultimately will come in.
Okay. Can I ask why an interim location would not have been considered at Williams Parkway and Mississauga Road? There's the large commercial presence in that area.
Proximity to
If I may, through you, it's was a matter of opportunity.
Okay.
And timing and resourcing,
All right.
really. This opportunity presented itself to us through the developer. They shopped the opportunity to us. We've had some very high-level initial conversations. There is a vacancy, and the timing was right to come to council and look for your support.
Okay, so it was an opportunity-driven. No, I think we do need to do a better job in the city of creating library presences, hopefully so that people are within walking distance to them. And I like the idea that there'll be a new flagship central library in wards 1 and 5. That's very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Moore.
Councilor Provier?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both
for presentation today. I have, besides saying you're doing a great job, and I have one issue that I'd like you to look at. The Gore Meadows, although it's perfect, but I think the library we can improve on the reading garden.
Councilor Provier, you are going to keep this to a budget issue, right?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, and that's where I'm,
This is budget,
I'm looking to see whether you're thinking about asking for some funds to look at perhaps enclosing that reading garden so it can be used year-round. Because right now, I know that a lot of students are using the main atrium of the Gore Meadows. There's just not enough space in the library itself, so they're spilling out. And the reading garden is rarely ever used, summer or winter. Well, of course, winter it's not going to be used. In the summer, it's too hot. It's facing northwest, so the sun is setting, and there's no trees, there's no shade, and nobody sits in there. So, can I ask if there's plans, perhaps looking at maybe, of course, this year it's too late, but maybe for next year's budget to ask some money to enclose that so it can be used year-round?
Through you, Chair, we're always happy to entertain ideas of expanding our branches when the suggestions come from council. Really, our focus, as you say, Gore Meadows is an exceptionally well-used facility. It's 30,000 square feet and not big enough to meet the needs of the community. And we balance that need, as we always do, with the needs of the rest of the community. So the ask this year really focused on the establishment of a library presence in a quadrant of the city where residents are more than 6 kilometers away from a permanent location. So
I understand that.
I agree absolutely. The reading garden is not space that's particularly well used in a year-round aspect at Gore Meadows. And if there's money in the budget, we're happy to enclose it.
Well, there's none this year, but perhaps you can ask for it next budget. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Bowman?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the presentation today. I think that the job that you guys do is excellent to get the results that we get from the space that we have. And I think we're probably the envy of a lot of cities around to have such huge growth in our libraries and our transit. So I'm glad you two are working so well together to drop the transit right at the library spots. When you're looking at new library spaces, such as the ones you're looking at now, we had a group of people that came last night to talk about green initiatives. Are you incorporating green initiatives into your library spaces is what I want to know.
If I may, through you, Chair, the library is the original green initiative, right? That's our MO. But absolutely. So that in conjunction, any facility that we work together with our city partners is built to LEED Gold standard, which is significant. So the new Springdale Library, you'll see, has a green roof, and the features that will keep that facility green are required in the ongoing operations of that certification. The leased spaces are more challenging for us because we don't have that same kind of control in a rental agreement. But, as good citizens, we absolutely do our best. And like I say, it's what we do. We reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councillor Willens, you're the rep, I believe. You and Councillor Pleshy on the light board. Would you like to receive the delegation? Okay. Before I take that, I just like to say thank you very much. You do a remarkable job. It's said every year with the little money that you get. So we really thank you for that. And I too look forward to having the next big library in wards 1 and 5 that has never had a library before. Some of these council members are always talking about needing facilities when they have 2 or 3 libraries and we don't have any. So that's my whine for the day. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. All in favor of receipt of the library board's presentation? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
All right, committee, we are now finished with our local boards. Councillors, are you debating over there or are you listening? I'm telling you what to do. Oh, okay. Then go ahead. I'll silence the crowd. So what we're going to do now, committee, is we're going to move into our final committee discussions. And this would be the time for any other discussions on what's already being presented or any other motions to come forward. And I'm going to include the normal council question period within that frame, if you don't mind. So we'll do all that at once. If councillors have any more questions on the budget or have any more discussions, now would be the time to do it. I'm going to ask the clerk before I do that, am I missing anything? Sorry, hang on, the treasurer is tapping me. Did I miss something?
Yeah, we do have some information to bring back on some of the questions that were asked yesterday.
Okay, and I think we'll move to that before we go to the board. Dave tells me that they have some information on some of the questions that were asked yesterday, so we'll do that first. This is why I have these folks up beside me to remind me when I forget something. Thank you. Okay, Dave, do you want to run us through these?
I can, yeah. Okay, through the budget chair, so it's a double-sided document. This pertains to 2 questions, one from Councillor Sparvieri and one from Councillor Moore. If we go to the page with the staff additions, on that side of the page, the question from Councillor Sparvieri was with respect to the total dollars for the staff additions, what percentage of the budgets it made up. So in terms of the staff adds that are included within the base operating and growth section of the budget, of the 3.7% for the city portion of the net budgetary increase, it represents a 0.6 of that 3.7, or about 16% of that amount. The staff adds under the new and enhanced section represents about 1.5 of the overall 3.7%. About 41% of the total request for 2018. And then just the second portion of this chart is just in relation to the new or enhanced category, the 2.4%. The staff additions make up 1.5 of that 2.4, about 63%. And just to kind of advise council that 57% is in line with our overall structure of our operating budget if you look at what total salaries make up of the total operating budget. So it's in line with that. The second side of the page with respect, I don't know if you want to maybe take questions on that or should
No, I think you should finish
okay.
off, and then we had people already on the board, so we'll go.
Okay, so and then the second part of the question was just in relation to Councillor Moore's question on the community investment fund. If we were to effectively refinance the current debt that is outstanding on those internal loans, what we would see is basically an annual reduction in the annual payment, so that would be effectively a positive impact on the budget. However, we would lose investment income of approximately $980,000, which would then have a net impact on the overall budget of $180,000.
Okay. So just to reiterate what I just said, the motions now, any motions that may come forward now, because we had none during the other process, will be taken, will be final, well, yeah, we'll get to it, will be final motions that will be recommendations to the final budget committee meeting at the end, and we will discuss, I think Councilor Madero's asked yesterday about moving it up. We will, at the end of this, once we finalize the budget here today, we will discuss our opportunities for that. Okay, I have some things written down here on that. Okay, on a point of order then? Go ahead. Oh, a clarification on that? Okay, no, that'll be a question then, it's not a point of order. Okay, no, this is open for motions or discussions on the whole budget right now.
Okay.
I believe I'm at the end. And we can, the floor is open for anything. I said at the beginning, we would, everything was done in theory up until the end. Now we're at the end point where we can have those debates and have those discussions. Okay, Madam Clerk, I'm not missing anything here, am I? Okay, and once we get to that too, what we'll do is we'll have the clerk go through the motions that we will need to finalize the budget in, and she'll let us know on any declarations of interest that come up, and we'll separate those. The first one will be obviously mine, and we'll have to have the vice chair step in for that one. Okay, so the first speaker is Councillor Dillon.
Thank you. So we can, so this is the time to put our motions forward, right?
Any discussion or motions, this is the time to do it.
Right, so I got a motion. I submitted it to Madam Clerk, and hopefully she can put it on the board. This motion essentially, and I'll read it first, and then I'll talk about it after. And so, whereas the affordability has become a major challenge for many senior residents in Brampton through increased insurance rates, property rates, cost of living, and gas prices, and whereas more than half of Peel region residents are now low-income earners, as reported on CBC earlier this month, and whereas Peel senior population 65 plus is increasing at almost 3 times the rate of Canada's senior population, and by 2018 Peel's senior population will top 200,000, and by 2031 1.64 million. And where many of our residents are currently dependent on OAS or the CPP, making it difficult to spend on full fare transit passes, and whereas due to health concerns many seniors are not able to drive and are reliant on transit to visit hospitals and doctors. And whereas the need for active living in Peel has become necessary, with diabetes affecting 1 in 7 Peel residents, whereas research has shown the positive impact when seniors socialize, and strategies should be in place to reduce isolation to encourage positive mental and emotional well-being. And whereas the City of Brampton has been a leader in meeting seniors' transit needs, therefore it be resolved that the $52 senior bus pass, monthly bus pass, should have put that in there, be reduced to $15, that the weekly seniors bus pass be eliminated, see any shortfall be recouped from the remaining $300,000 budget from the 2017 facade program for approximately 4 years, and D, all costs thereafter be absorbed in new future revenue growth. So Councillor Bowman has seconded the motion, and the reason why is finished.
Guys, hey guys.
The reason why I submitted this motion is because I've spoken to, I think everybody around here understands the needs of our seniors. And affordability has become such a major issue, especially in the City of Brampton. We're fortunate sitting around here, I think everybody in this room, is that we have good salaries, we have excellent benefits, and we got car allowances as well. And this motion has no immediate cost impact. In fact, any shortfall will be covered by the remainder of the facade budget. And so, many seniors are struggling right now. They've paved the way for me, and I think paved the way for most people here, and it's our duty, and we owe it to them to provide them this service and not necessarily try to profit off them, whether it's us or the region. We're constantly investing into the health and well-being, and this is a huge investment into them. So A, in winter months, they'll be able to move around all across the city. They won't be relegated to their homes. B, they'll take advantage of more access to our seniors' recreation centers and future seniors' recreation centers as well. Especially, all across the city, many of them are sitting in parks all day long in the summer, winter, and fall months. And because of that, they have major budget requests, such as shade shelters, which can cost in excess of $100,000 themselves. And so they'll be encouraged to move, to connect, and to travel to other parts of the city. And it's even more important for those seniors who are working right now, who can't afford to pay for gas or for insurance. The discount they receive for 1 month is equal to 1 week's worth of grocery for them. And so we'll definitely increase ridership, but I think that's a good thing. But those that will need it will be getting it. I'll give you an example. My dad's 67 years old. He doesn't need a bus pass. There's a lot of seniors like that, but there's a lot of seniors who do need it. And so the numbers, what are the numbers on this? If you take a look at the report, I left it on all the desks of the counselors. We had a report back that came in March. And so the report, what it did was talk about what would happen if we moved to Calgary's system, which was $95 a year, which equals about approximately $8 a month. If we moved to Calgary's system, we'd be paying, we'd have a $150,000 loss, approximately. What I'm saying is, let's not move to Calgary system. Let's move to $15 a month instead of $8 a month. And so what this will do is, just simple math, $150,000 divided by 2 is about $75,000 a year. So the $300,000 remaining in the facade program budget for 2017 unused, we'll be able to fund this for 4 years. So we're not really losing any money here. And this is a big investment in our seniors and their health and well-being. And from beyond that, what we'll be able to do is absorb that in any type of new revenue growth. So it's the information right there. The motion is on the screen there, and we'll leave it up for discussion.
Okay. Just so that we aren't bouncing back and forth, I'm going to ask the council members that I think what we're better to do is just deal with this. Okay? And individually we'll deal as things come along rather than jump back and forth. So any council member that's on the board right now that doesn't want to speak to this, please get off and I'll let you get back on. So stay on if you want to speak to it, okay? Councillor Sprovieri, on this issue.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And one of the things that we continually hear from seniors is that other municipalities are treating the seniors regarding the transit service. Other municipalities are more seem to be more responsive to their needs, and they've named a number. I think Vancouver, Calgary, I don't know what Mississauga is doing, but it appears that a lot of cities are more compassionate in a sense in their needs because of their financial situation. I wonder if staff has any information as to what other cities are doing to address this issue, and if staff has any information now, or bring it back to us if you don't.
You want to respond to that?
Yeah, through the chair, and I can delve deeper if the chair will allow, in terms of the motion and the comment that was made now. Clearly, this council and previous council have always been big on supporting our seniors in our community. We have introduced back in 2011 a $1 cash seniors fare for residences of Brampton that reside in Brampton. That was based on a program that a senior would have to prove their residence in Brampton. They would get a card with a picture on it that they would have to show as they board every vehicle. That dollar seniors cash fare is the lowest in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, and it continues to be. Mississauga's introduced with a $1 cash fare as well, but it's only on off-peak, and it's extremely important to understand it's only on off-peak periods that dollar is allowed. Ours is 7 by 24. You can ride our buses at any point if you're riding from Brampton for $1, and that's a severely discounted fare. The e-purse on our Presto, which is any senior that uses our system with a Presto card, use an e-purse of $1.60. That again is one of the lowest fares in the GTHA for seniors. The average fare on the e-purse on Presto was $2 in the GTHA. So again, Brampton provides a significantly discounted program for seniors in our community. The actual monthly and weekly passes are typically on the lower end of the GTHA, so depending on the type of product our seniors would want, we have that all on available in our Presto, and it continues to be on the lower end with the passes as well. When you mentioned about the Calgary one, the Calgary model is a bit different. I mean, Calgary's got their budget wells that they're going through now, but clearly it's a program where $95 is a deeply discounted annual pass. They have their struggles now with their budgets, but when you look at our passes, and I think Councillor has made reference to a previous report that talks about $154,000. I just caution with that report because that only talks about the monthly passes that they looked at. If you look at a senior's rate of $15 a month, you're going to get, and I know this from previous experiences, and you're going to get a lot of shift from current e-purse fares that are paid onto that monthly pass. Because that's, when you look at $15, that's about seven and a half trips a month. So you're going to get those people migrating over to that pass as well. So collectively, when you make some assumptions that could happen, you could actually get everyone moving over to that because it's such a severely discounted pass. And the $15 pass would, in 2016 numbers, would be about $740,000. In saying that, though, that introduces a whole bunch of other variables, and I hate to go on too long, Chair, if you allow me to, but there's a couple of more important points. If you look at the shift, you're going to get other movement onto this, whether it be through fraud, whether it be through passes being passed on to other people, and it introduces another one. And I bring TTC case in point when they introduced a 12 and under free. They initially started the first year with 12 million. It now doubled to 24 million. So reasonably, we can expect that you'll see probably a higher order of magnitude of seniors using this pass. And I think in the actual motion, you talk about the region of Peel has had 3 times more than the rest of Canada. Well, reasonably, we can expect that as well through our fare. So the uptake is going to be even a lot more. Again, totally respecting what's being tabled here. In terms of the health and there's a regional programs as well for affordability. There's a pass the council approved recently to work with the region on that. And that's potential programs that some of our seniors who are low-income earners and have other needs, health issue needs, may be able to tap into those programs. But clearly, it's a complex issue, and when you look at the sustainability of this is an ongoing cost. It's not a one-time cost, and it'll continue to grow. We do have to, staff, to do their due diligence, we'll have to look at this. I don't believe it'll be an issue, but a due diligence as part of transit, we'd have to look into what is the impacts for a Presto agreement, because the Presto agreement does guarantee some minimum revenues, and it's to protect from severely discounted fares to protect and ensure that the province still continues to make the revenues that they have in their Presto program based on our predictions in 10 years in terms of growth. I don't believe that's going to be an issue because our ridership's been so high what we did, but we'd have to respectfully go back and make sure that there's no cost to us on that agreement as well. So that's just some of the areas that I wanted to highlight, in saying that. I don't know if that helps.
Okay. Councilor O'Leary, you feel?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just a further question to that to staff. Should we go into this further discount in monthly fares? Do you expect that more, I think you said more seniors would be using it? or would it be the same seniors that are using it now? Or you expect an increase in ridership from seniors generally, because now a lot of the seniors who can't afford, and they're just sitting around the house rather than go to a community center or go to a shopping mall or visit their friends or whatever they may do. Do you suppose that this could get more people on the bus and during the day when the buses are not, at their peak?
I would anticipate, through the chair, I would anticipate there'd be a hybrid of that. You would probably get a slight increase in ridership as well from people that are not using it today, but more of the impact would be people that are using adult fares now would transition into the seniors program. Because when you introduce a seniors pass like this on a Presto card, you do not have photo ID, you don't have confirmation of a senior. There's more challenges that the operator would have to do upon payment of the fare. Where today, that our senior $1 program has a specific photo ID, and they have to present that photo ID to verify that's a person that's actually paying the $1 fare. In a Presto case, no, that can be handed to other persons. It could be people that are currently paying adult fares that will shift over to that senior. So again, the implication of the loss of revenue may be more, and again, it's a very difficult thing to predict, but it's a very high risk and vulnerability for our loss of revenue.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Moore?
Thank you very much. Thank you for pointing out, well, first of all, thank you, Councillor Dillon, for handing out this report, and Alex for pointing out that contrary to what some people may believe, we are being very compassionate to our seniors in this community. Even, look at the membership fee for the Flower City campus. It's, like $20 a year to access. There isn't a club or an association that fees are that low. I think that we've done a really good job of striking a good balance. And I'm going to be a little bit parochial. There are a lot of people in our community, not just seniors, who are on ODSP or Ontario Works, and where transit costs are a financial hardship for them to get to work, to get their kids to school. I have a family on my street with 3 teenagers in high school. That's 3 of them, even at the discounted student fare. They go to David Suzuki. That's 3 student fares for, bus passes for their kids to get to school every day. That's a financial hardship, whether mom and dad both work or not. If we were to, apply this just to seniors, there's going to be a whole lot of other folks in the community with their hand up in the air and saying, me too, because my circumstances are very similar. I know at the Region Appeal, when we introduced a number of years ago, actually not that many years ago, probably 5 or 6, the seniors dental program, and there wasn't any rules built around it. And then, the uptake of that was quite startling. And the number of people that ended up on the wait list for free dental program or dental services just grew unmanageable. I think it was at that point when staff came back to us and said, there needs to be some criteria built around this, and it's the the LICO low-income cutoff for seniors, just to open this up so that because somebody is a senior gets a reduced fare, even at the $1 has a level of risk to it and a level of opportunity to abuse it. So, and the other comment I want to make is, and I made reference to the number of people on Ontario Works and ODSP. Councillor Gibson and I, and to some degree Medeiros and Bowman, representing the downtown, we have the largest concentration of the working poor. We see them at the food banks, we see them at the breakfast program and the meal programs that are at the faith community in the downtown area. They live in the rooming houses, the boarding and lodging houses in the downtown. And, understandably, they would be ideal candidates for reduced or dramatically reduced transit fares. I understand where Councillor Dillon is coming from on this. I think we're doing a good job in supporting our seniors. Then there may be other ways that we can look at it. But I would like to suggest that this be referred to the Seniors Council. I'm not prepared to support it, but I do think the issue and an opportunity to fully educate and raise awareness to the Seniors Council that this has come forward would be a good thing. But I think it needs to be fully costed, because we do know that even those seniors who can afford the full fare would like to know the full impact of this if the conversation comes up again in the future. But I can't support this, Councillor Dillon. I just think it's the wrong approach to take, and I think it opens the floodgates, and then I don't know how we say no to the next person or group of persons that puts their hands in the air. Thank you.
Councillor Medeiros?
Through the chair. First of all, thank you, Councillor Dillon and Councillor Bowman, for bringing this forward. But certainly, it becomes one of those moral dilemmas. There's what the heart wants and what's the head thinking. And, and you get, I'm in this role because you want to make the best informed decision. So I think there's still some information that I need. One of the things, for example, when we cost out $15, why not 30, why not 25? What's 15? Why is 15 the magic bullet? And that's hoping, Alex, you can bring some of that information in terms of that price point. I have, with that said, through the chair, I have heard from seniors in my area about having some consolidated one-time fare, a pass where, because they talk about the $1. But since being on council, I've never been even comfortable with the $1 fare. Just because, I look at people around in my life, and the seniors I know, they own their homes, and, they enjoy the $1 fare, but they're not the ones who need it. And I think Councillor Moore adequately addressed and characterized, there are a lot of people who are struggling, and I've been contacted by, single mothers, teenage mothers, and families, and so on. So I guess where I'm going from that, from day one, I've always supported a means test of some sort. Give some subsidized rate to the folks who need it. So at the region, this is maybe where there's an information gap here. We at the City of Brampton have decided, and we made that conscious decision to join and expand that program, which is at the region. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is to avoid any duplication with, I'm not sure what Councillor Dillon and Councillor Bowman would be amendable to making any amendments or changes. But just to forward, I'd like to have the information as we expand at the region, and certainly the region has taken on, the decision at the regional council was to take on more of the budgetary responsibility for low-income folks who need transit. So I just think at the end of the day, we want to ensure that the people who need it are getting that subsidized transit. And if we have that at the region, then I just want to ensure that we're not duplicating efforts here. And it won't impact our budget here, because we've actually already passed the budget there. So if you can report back that information in terms of, as we are expanding at the region, what does that subsidy look like? What does that mean for a transit user? Is it open to seniors, as open to other folks? Because again, philosophically, I've always been about helping the people who need it. And to me, it's about, doing some form of means test. And I think that's where the region, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, that's where the region is looking at that the program there is really about that sort of looking at who qualifies it, because it is based on a means test. Can you speak to that? I'm not sure if you have information on that, but.
Through the chair, we don't have all the information yet, but we are working with the region on this, and certainly if the desire is, staff can report back on the advancements of that whole program and what would include and what type of subsidies for affordability would be included in that.
Yeah, so through the chair, and I think, has Councillor Moore asked for a refer? Sorry.
Nobody's asked for referral yet. Or
Okay.
they've talked about it, but nobody's made a motion to refer it.
So I'll let Councillor Moore speak. Yeah.
No, we'll go to the next speaker. Unless you're asking Council
Okay.
Moore for a question, but she didn't move a referral.
Okay, so she's on the board. But certainly, that's the information I would like to include in terms of, the possibilities for us to sort of meet the spirit of this motion by fully supporting and maybe investing a little bit more at the regional level, because that will take a lesser hit on our budget here at the city. Ultimately, it's the same taxpayer, so if we can meet that need. I guess, part of it is, like I said, the $15, why if it's $15, if you can have a price scenario like 15, 30, and then after all those other considerations, and I think that's a good idea in terms of Councillor Moore suggested of having it go to Seniors Council for some discussion and debate there, because certainly, as a Seniors Council, they would be the body who'd provide that information. I'll wait for my colleagues to speak to, but that's what I would probably suggest in the referral. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dillon?
Yeah, and I appreciate the comments around the table, but to me it's pretty simple. Get rid of 3 shade shelters, right? And which is 99.9% asked by our seniors. And I do understand when we make comparisons to, and I appreciate the comments by Councilor Moore that there's families in need, but I'm specifically talking about one segment of the population that's in more need than others. When I was growing up, I didn't have everything, but I had 2 parents at home who were working. Some people have 1 parent, but they have the advantage that they're younger. A lot of these seniors can't even get around. The seniors that I speak to in every ward across the city, who I've had an opportunity to have a discussion with, they're struggling. It's tougher to live. A lot of them are living alone. They get their pension, they got to pay rent, they can't afford a car, they can't afford the car payments, they can't afford the insurance, they can't afford the gas. They can't afford to live a normal life such as another family who has the advantage of being young, who has the advantage of having more opportunities for being young, who have the advantage for being more able-bodied, more energy. And so we need to look in the perspective of seniors and understand we want referrals, we want to go back, we need more information, but the numbers work when we look at this motion. The option is still there, because I never made mention of the $1 being removed. That option is there. But we're moving into a time when we're going to have, it's harder to live and we're having more seniors. And there's more burden being put on them. And so that's what the spirit of the motion is to make sure that we're looking at taking care of those who came before us. And we wouldn't be there. I know I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for seniors paving the way for me, and I think everybody can appreciate that. But I think it's an unfair assumption, Alex, that you make that we have to take precautions, but I don't think we should automatically assume that there's going to be a huge burden placed upon us because of fraud. There's precautions that we can take where you show your ID. We can do something, work around that. And I think, very respectfully I say this, the perspective of staff is numbers. But I think the perspective of us is also numbers as well. Councilors sitting around here. But we also have a different perspective than you guys. We're out in the community. We actually see the struggles of the seniors, and their strategic plan says move and connect, and so we need to move and connect them. And one of the components of the senior plan is obviously to have a healthy community. The health and well-being, the mental health of our seniors is extremely important. A lot of them are sitting around at home in the winter months. They can't do anything. And I've mentioned this before as well. I used to be on a committee on the police, for the Toronto Police actually, and we always look to the South Asian community in particular in Brampton as well as one of the areas we get information from. And seniors abuse is very rampant. It's extremely rampant, where if they do get pension, it's taken away. They're forced to be in the country or they're forced to go out the country, not at their own will. And a lot of the times what they do is they're forced to pick up the kids. forced to drop off the kids during the day. So they really don't have much freedom. What this bus pass will do is not just for the South Asian community, but for everybody. It'll give them that freedom to move around the city. It'll give them the freedom to do what we encourage them to do, to go around, to go to PAMA, to come visit downtown, to go to Bramley, to go to any new malls that are being opened up. And so this is not I don't want my colleagues around to look at it as a loss. I think I want them to look at it as a plus, that we're investing in our seniors. And so I do hope we get support for this. I don't think everything is always about dollars, and I think the numbers do add up. And I think the numbers do make sense. But I think we really need to invest in those who came before us, and I think we'll have a healthier city, and I think we'll have it'll be an economic impact as well, where they're traveling, they're spending, whether they're going to work, it'll provide them opportunities as well.
Okay, the CEO would like to comment before I go to the next speaker. Got the buttons to work on.
Okay. Through you, Council, again, I respect if Council wants to add service levels, but I will say that it's our obligation to make sure that you're making an informed decision. I've had the opportunity to work with Alex. He's leading most of the negotiations across the GTHA on bus ridership, Presto arrangements. And when we come back with the numbers, I will say it's just the numbers. Council then makes a decision. But I can guarantee you that our numbers are credible, and we're going to come back to ensure that we don't jeopardize future councils. We want to be sure that we're very accurate in our projections, what we're seeing at TTC, when they estimated 20 million going to 40 million. So we're going to build that all in the numbers. It's then council's decision to make. But we're going to be accurate for future councils to get the right number.
Okay. Councillor Bowman?
Yeah.
He was finished, that's why I went to CEO.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I did second this motion, and the reason I seconded the motion is because I thought it would generate some very good discussion, which we've had. There's clearly some numbers that we need to get. There's an impact. I didn't even think there would be an impact on the Presto card, but Alex, if you say there's an impact there that we don't know what it is, then we need that information. I don't think we should be making any decisions without all the information that we have. And Councillor Moore, to your point, yes, we've got a lot of people in this community that need this type of discount on their transportation of any type. So I don't think we have a choice. I think we need to refer it back to staff, and I don't. And Councillor Dillon, I don't see it right now. If we get the report back from staff, we can still vote on it with more information. We can change and reallocate numbers. It's not a huge number right now, Mr. Sutton, is it?
Right, through the chair. No, it's at this point it's not a big number, but again, we would need to confirm those things with our transit group.
So I would like to refer it back to our staff to get a report on what it means on the ridership that we've got, on projected ridership numbers, what it might mean to future budgets in terms of increases as well, before we make that decision. But I wholeheartedly agree that there's a huge number of people in this community that need relief, the seniors being part of that community. So thank you.
Councillor, are you moving the referral?
I am.
So far, okay, you are. So far, we haven't had anybody move it. Councillor Moore, speaking to the referral.
But on the board to clarify my comments for Councillor Medeiros, I actually had a motion, but it wasn't to refer, because I can't support this under any circumstances. I had all the information I needed when we went to $1 for seniors. I think it was the right decision to make then. The information I have, or that I need, I already have to make the decision. We do more for seniors on transit than any other municipality in the GTA. It doesn't matter whether you come back with 80 cents a ride or $1.20. We're still doing more for seniors on transit, and I would argue other areas within our municipal jurisdiction here as well. So I don't need, so I'm not going to support referral, and I'm not going to support the motion. I have all that I need. What my motion was, that the motion placed by Councillor Dillon during budget deliberations regarding senior transit fares be shared with the Age-Friendly Brampton Advisory Committee and the Brampton Seniors Council for their information. Is I think this is something that they can have conversations about throughout the year, and I know that the two representatives that sit on Seniors Council are happy to take it, and the Age-Friendly should have the conversation as well. But I'm not going to support referring this back to staff. For all the reasons I stated previously. Every single taxpayer in the city of Brampton subsidizes transit, whether they use it or not, by every single passenger that gets on the bus. Transit is not a money-making enterprise for this municipality or any municipality. So whether any of us around the table use the bus or not, we are subsidizing every single passenger. The question is, do we continue to provide subsidies beyond what we're already doing for seniors, what we're already doing for students, and what we already do to encourage people to use public transit through weekly, monthly, and annual passes? So we subsidize, and then we subsidize again. So I just simply cannot support referral. I think that the success of our transit system in the city of Brampton is a testament to the fact that we have struck the right balance between taxpayer subsidy and passenger ability to pay. Thank you.
Yeah, so what, for the referral, what information, from March 3rd, 2017, the report was brought back, like what additional information would you be bringing back for the information of council? Because I'm assuming when this report was written, the information provided was adequate.
The treasurer would like to respond to this.
Yes, through the chair. I'd just like to add, in terms of what Councillor Bowman had said, again, what we heard from Alex was that there's significant risk in terms of that shift from the $1 fare over to the annual pass. So upwards of $740,000, but again, those numbers would have to be proofed out, and so there's some obviously disconnect in terms of the numbers we're seeing here in front of us in terms of the motion, as opposed to what our transit team is actually telling us that risk in terms of that upwards.
I don't see every single senior getting a bus pass. I don't see, because what it said in this is that there was 3,500 passes sold based upon 2016 numbers. So that's what the basis was, $150,000 loss. That's what this report said. And it says if all seniors converted to the annual pass, you could lose $800,000. All seniors are not going to be converting to this pass. I'm sure there will be an increase, and like I said, that increase will be absorbed in future revenue growth. But in the meantime, that $300,000 that I said, or we can cut from...
Councillor, you're speaking against...
No, I'm speaking to the referral.
You're speaking against.
Okay.
You either speak for or you speak against. We have a referral on the floor. We have to deal with it.
So I'm speaking to the referral because it's related to it. Because we're speaking about the information that's going to come back.
When you have a referral on the floor, you either have to speak...
Well, whatever Councillor Bowman referred, I'm speaking to that because I'm asking about the information that's in a previous report compared to what's going to come back. The information was all here.
Okay, Councillor, I'm going to ask the clerk to give us some information on how you speak on a referral or not a referral, because when you have a referral on the floor, I have to deal with a referral. I cannot be allowing council members to continue to ask for more information or debate, and you were debating right there. So, Madam Clerk, can you please, am I in the wrong or am I in the right way here?
If I may, through you, Chair Gibson, speaking to a referral does not include the opportunity to ask further questions of staff.
Thank you.
So I'll just, if I can ask you what's coming back additional. from
No,
the
you
report
can't
that we
ask.
have.
The clerk
We
just...
do it all the time here, though.
Well, all the time, I'm not in the chair. And I
I've
just had
seen
the
it
clerk...
when you're in the chair as
Counselor,
well.
I'm cheering. The clerk just confirmed what I said. You don't have the opportunity to start asking questions again.
Right.
I
We'll
have,
hold
as
everybody to
chair,
that.
I have to deal with referral. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's what I have to deal with, and that's what we all should be dealing with when we're in the chair. You done?
Let the stuff come back.
You can,
Well, I'm
you
not
can give us-
allowed to ask any questions, so I'm done.
You
You just said I'm not allowed to ask any questions.
Okay, so I'm the last speaker, unless somebody else comes back on. I just wanted to, I'm going to speak in favor, because I sat on, as a council rep, the only one left that's here, on the seniors council last time and this issue came up. And the seniors council last time overwhelmingly told us, don't change. Don't do, and this was almost the same as what was being asked to do. So I would like, I know Councilor Moore was, I think, was on the right track. I would like in the referral to refer it back to staff and also include referring it to the Age-Friendly Committee and the Seniors Council for their comments. Is that okay, Councilor? Okay, thank you. And that way we'll get that information back. So I'm speaking to the referral to refer it back. Okay? Councilor Dillon, for the fourth time, are you speaking for or against? Okay, you're right. You're absolutely right. It was the second time referral. Okay, speaking to the referral.
When will this come back?
Through the chair, reasonably, I would estimate that would be in the new year. We need to make sure, we're in the midst of finalizing an agreement with Presto. It hasn't been signed yet. We have council authority to sign based on what was presented to council at a recent meeting, committee meeting, I believe. So until that's signed and we know definitively what the impacts are on the agreement, we're then better to assess and analyze what potential impact, if any, it would have on that dollar value.
So the reason why I ask it, because this was referred in the budget last year, in 2016, and it came back in March. So essentially, we're going to be kicking the can down the road again. So if it can come back before that, so we can have an opportunity to discuss it before the 13th, is that possible?
That would, through the chair, that would be difficult, and I wholeheartedly say this with respect. It's not trying to inflate numbers to detract people from that. No, but absolutely in our due diligence process, we need to make sure that we capture accurately what we feel is the best to bring back to council for a decision. And quite honestly, that would be pressing to do that with any high level of confidence.
Right. I've seen, and I'll finish off by this, I've seen much more complicated motions come forward without some of the discussion I've heard here today. To me, again, it was a good motion, but if you're going to
Councilor,
refer,
debating it again.
I'll support the referral, but I don't agree with it.
All right, Councilor Madero, speaking to the referral.
Yeah, just to the referral.
So hopefully the information I talked about again about the regional program, and I'm sure there'll be some projected numbers and an opportunity to see which might be able to meet the needs in the spirit of some of this motion. So I think that'd be good to include in the report as well.
Staff okay with that?
So again, through the chair, absolutely, if the direction back to staff is to provide that information, we will need time to meet with the region. We will need time to understand what their program looks like and to see what we can incorporate in there. Again, it's going to be a process that we have to go through, and that would take some time to do
So that's
that.
a yes, you would.
Yes, we could do that, absolutely.
Through the chair, I would imagine because we made the
Decision that we'd be joining the pilot program, that there's already ongoing conversations with them anyways, right?
Through the chair, absolutely, yes. As transit staff is engaged with the region through that discussion and developing that program, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Rattini, speaking to the referral.
Yes, thank you, through the chair. Speaking to referral.
I remember at the seniors, they are quite happy. The only complaint I hear is that it expires after 2 hours of transfer or something. They have to pay. But like Councilor Moore said, if we open this up and approve this, 2 years ago, we had people here asking.
Councilor, you're starting to debate it again. Are you speaking to or for the
Students wanted free transit. Okay. So, I'm not going to support this. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'll take the motion then for the referral. On recorded vote, we'll have to use a standing, okay? I'll ask the clerk to take the recorded vote on the referral.
Thank you, Chair Gibson. I'm voting a recorded vote on the referral motion of Councillor Dillon's senior transit fares back to staff for a report thereon to a future meeting, and with the friendly amendment to include provision of the motion to the Age-Friendly Committee and the Seniors Council for their information. All those in favor?
And the working with the region that Councillor Medeiros asked for.
And that the returning report include working with the region of Peel.
Okay.
All those in favor of the referral motion, please stand. I have Councillors Fortini, Mayor Jeffrey, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Medeiros, Chair Gibson, Councillor Dillon, Councillor Sprovieri. All those against the motion? I have Councillors Willens and Councillors Moore.
Okay, that referral passes. Okay, now we'll go on to our next, well, anybody, any other discussions? Councillor Willens on the budget. You can ask any question you want now on the budget.
Thank you. It's more of a clarification. In the Appendix 10 of the grant and in-kind services, maybe this is for Bob Darling, I'm not sure. You've got Brampton Board, and it was discussed last night with actually a member of the Board of Trade that was present for budget. You have, under the Board of Trade, you've got that listed, the amount of money over the period of time from January 1st, 2015 to November 2017. I believe that's a different entity within the Board of Trade. I think it's the Santa Claus Parade. Maybe we want to get that corrected before it goes out in public, if we can. Thanks.
Through you, the Chair, absolutely, we have to correct that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sprovieri?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few questions of clarification. First, to Mr. Patuska. I see that in the capital budget there's funding for the next phase of widening Castlemore Road between Goreway and McBean Drive. That's on page 38 of the capital report.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay. Now, is this set to go early in the year, the tender, or is it going to be done later in the year, which causes a bit of a startup problem? Would you know?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not exactly sure the stage of readiness for that project. All I can tell you is that when we put forward the capital budget, one of the criteria was that it would definitely be tendered in 2018. So I know it meets that criteria, but for me to right now, I can't tell you whether it's at 60% or 90% design complete. So I just don't know. I can find out and get back to you.
Yeah, the reason I ask is, you know what happened at Countryside? We're supposed to start in August. It didn't start till October. And now they're working in the mud as we speak up there in the wet. The other question I have is, I looked at the 2019 capital, and I didn't see the next section from McVean to Core Road. Is that, did I miss it, or it's not in yet 2019?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's you didn't miss it because it's just not there. So yeah, it's beyond the 3-year period.
So what are the plans for to keep going further towards Highway 50, as the plan was to get that road, because it's quite, as you know, it's become like Highway 7 now. The volumes are very, very high. The backups are sometimes they back up from Gore Road right to Airport Road. The traffic backups.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's definitely in the work plan, but for this budget cycle, we didn't see it within the 3 years.
Well, I think we should keep an eye on it, because I think that the volumes will very probably warrant the next phase. So if you can just perhaps review that through the chair.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we review it on an annual basis. Anyway, we just didn't feel that it was appropriate for 2018. We'll definitely take a look at it, as we do every program, on a year-to-year basis.
Okay. The next question I have is for Mr. Our Community Service Commissioner
Mandesis?
On page 52 of the capital, there's a $50,000 item for a wading pool splash pad at the Gore Meadows. When we had our tour last week, there is a splash pad already there. I don't know if perhaps it's not the right one, it's not the same one, or it's a different feature. Can you clarify that?
Through the chair, my understanding is that it's an expansion, and there's a very large demand. It's very heavily utilized, and they are expanding the water feature that's outside Gore Meadows.
Okay. The next question for you is on the page 69 again now, and it's to do with the Balmoral Recreation Center. We're budgeting $9 million for the 2019 year. Is that just retrofitting the facility, or is that actually adding some new components to it?
Through the chair, that is an expansion of Balmoral. So we would be expanding the current rec center, which is approximately 15,000 square feet, and doubling it to about 30,000 square feet.
So through the chair, so is that? I don't believe we really discussed this in a committee, and I recall anyway. Is this to basically replace or provide space for some of the other facilities in the ward that are not really, they're outdated and need repair or replacement? Is this the answer to that problem?
That is correct. Through the chair. So you'll recall, as part of the opening comments from both our treasurer and our CAO, part of one of our initiatives through this budget is to address some of the aging facilities in the Brampton family of rec centers. This is one of the initiatives that will help us respond to that, and it's also a direct response to the Parks and Rec master plan that identified a shortfall of dry gym space citywide, and this helps to augment our inventory.
Okay, so are there plans to retrofit others, or are we still looking at building a brand new facility to basically address that? And I believe that we were supposed to have that discussion or bring back a report with an overall picture of where we're going in that area.
So through the chair, in this budget, there's money here for us to start working on a new Howden Rec Center. There's money here, as you pointed out, in regards to Balmoral. There's some money here in regards to Greenbrier, and it is part of a comprehensive plan to refresh and renew the aging recreational infrastructure in Brampton.
Okay, so through the chair, are there plans to upgrade all of them, or is there plans to discontinue some of the ones that are not?
Through the chair, so that's part of an ongoing analysis that staff are currently looking at. What we have in front of Budget Committee today is specifically related to expansion and rehabilitation and a brand new rec center at Howden. Any other discussions in regards to the balance of the rec centers in Bramalea will be for another day. So we are continuing our analysis, and we will be bringing that analysis forward with recommendations for Council's consideration in the new year.
Okay. They did report that to us, Council.
Yeah, I didn't recall.
There was a report on us.
Maybe I'm getting old, maybe.
Maybe you can remind the councillor when the report did come. We had this discussion. You might have missed the meeting.
Yeah, the next question is on page 102 again now. There's again for 2019. There's you have $5.5 million for the outdoor at the Gore Meadows. Is that the cricket stadium that is being planned? Is that what it's for?
Through the chair, I'm going to defer this as Public Works and Engineering. Page 102, I'm going to defer it to Joe.
Okay. But it is to do with the Gore Meadows. So it's for outdoor facilities, Phase 1 construction, Phase 2 design, Gore Meadows. If you don't have the information, Joe, I guess you can get back to me on that.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I'm going to have to get back to you with the exact
Yeah,
details.
it's exactly what that money is.
Yeah.
What the allocation for that is. And then on page 107, you got the $2,650,000 for the LRT. Is that for the environmental assessment study that we're putting this money in for? On page 107, again on capital. Well, maybe you're in a different section.
No. Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, these funds were actually approved in a previous report to council when the LRT, the LRT up to Steeles Avenue was approved. This is one of the amounts that was highlighted for council's attention that we're going to require in 2018.
Oh, so this is for the actual construction of that section? It's
That's
not
correct.
For whatever needs to be done. It's not for the EA for doing the north of Steeles.
No.
Is that in the budget this year for the LRT, the EA for Kennedy Road and McLaughlin?
That budget was approved it was an addition to the budget for 2017, and it's in progress now.
Okay. And the last question is for transit, and to do with shelters. We know that that's one of the biggest demands we get from the public, at least from people looking for shelters. Are we, in order to make transit a more pleasant experience, are we planning to put more and more shelters, even where you don't have the numbers to justify it in today's standards, or are we keeping that standard? And so if it's only, let's say, half a dozen people at a certain stop, we're not planning to put a shelter there.
So through the chair, if you're talking about the actual standards to get approved, depending on the budget for the year, we're still carrying forward with the same standards, how we evaluate all the shelter requests. But I will say that there's, apart from the 400 or 400 plus thousand that we do a year for shelter and pads, we had a huge injection this year with the PTIF funding, and we've injected quite a few shelters that I can get the exact numbers for you shortly if you wish to know them. But we're definitely gaining a lot of traction on the requests that we've
So
made.
we're making some gains then.
Absolutely.
On that deal.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest issues with people. And I feel for them sitting out there in the cold without a shelter. So I think that we have to really work at try to get more people on the bus. I think that's a real necessity to have better shelters, more shelters. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Moore?
Thank you. Through you, I'd like to talk about Appendix 10, the grant and in-kind services. Had a little bit more time to go through it, and I do appreciate that staff put this together, based on the pre-budget meetings that we had, but I do think that there are some gaps in it. So if staff could just take this back, and I think there's some numbers in here that need to be populated into it. And Susie with the BIA this morning, mentioned payroll, the support we give them with payroll and IT. And I'm not suggesting that we pull it all together so that we can, all go, ooh, we should be cutting their funding. But I do think that we need a really firm handle on how we support any group in the city. So I think this is a good foundation to build off of, but even when I go through this on the BIA, I know we support them with the winter market and things, and even the night in the lane. So our staff go in and put up the lighting and things like that. It's just a way to really and truly capture how we are supporting the groups, and I do think it needs to be organized so that Anybody looking at it doesn't need to do what I did yesterday, where we see the BIA corporate partnership, the BIA under economic development, the BIA classic cars, the Thursday night concert series. I think it should be clustered by organization, regardless of, and then itemized in underneath. I just think it will serve us well when we are faced with requests that come before council. We'll have more of a handle on how much in kind, truly in kind, we support the groups, even with Beaux-Art, any rent subsidy or relief from rent, and when we pay the utilities, just pull it all in. It is taxpayer supported, and I think that's the kind of transparency that we as members of council would like to see, but certainly the taxpayers. And unless it's actually itemized like that, I think that there's people or groups in the city that kind of forget. It's easy to forget what you don't see. And when it's all listed, not so that we can show, sort of shove it in their face and say, we're already supporting you, but it is a gentle reminder that, we are in partnership with many groups and organizations in the city, truly. And I think we need to be able to demonstrate that. So if you could just take it back and refine it, not necessarily, I'm not asking you to bring it back through budget, but just sort of something to build off of so that it can be populated on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to now move into the motions to get the final approvals done, and that's where we'll have declarations of conflict of interest. So I'm going to ask now that the clerk run us through those. I believe the first, I don't know if it's the first motion or second motion, I'll be declaring a conflict, and Mayor Jeffrey declaring a conflict, and we'll have to leave. And Councilor Medeiros, if you could take the meeting at that time, but I'll wait until the clerk tells me if I'm on the right track. So what's the first motion we have to do? Question on the whole budget?
Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Dillon?
Question is to Mr. Sutton. Can you advise which portion of the budget the Brampton Beast funding is under?
Through the budget chair, the Brampton Beast funding is under the strategic communications budget.
Strategic communications, okay. So will we be voting specifically on strategic communications?
I do not believe that one is broken out from these.
What is that under?
It would be under the CAO's office.
Okay, so we'll be voting separately on the CAO office budget.
I think, and I can ask the clerk, is that the decision of council already for a term? Would we need to reopen that to discuss it again? Because I believe the decision of council was for a three-year term?
Yes, but I just want to know which, that particular item, are we going to be the area that it's in, or sorry, the part of the budget that it's in, are we going to be voting on that part of the budget separately?
That's what I'm trying to get the answer for, because the decision of council, I don't think we would be able to vote on it unless we reopened it. I have to ask.
Through the budget chair, it's not currently in these broken out at this point in time. If we wanted to, we could break it out, but it's currently embedded within the other. We've only addressed the ones with the conflict of interest here.
So, but it's embedded
in the operating budget.
It's embedded, but I want to know which. How do I want to vote against that part of the budget?
We could just pull out separately the Brampton Beast.
Yeah. I want to do that.
If that.
Well, I guess what I'm questioning here, and I'll ask for advice from the clerk, is this is a decision of council for a specific term. Can we actually pull that portion out and have a revote on it without reopening the whole question?
If I may, through you, Chair Gibson, my understanding was that the motion that passed would cover a 3-year term, so therefore that funding would be required unless a reopening of that decision was done. The item within the budget that identifies the funding for fulfillment of that requirement, however, conceivably would need to be, if that was not fulfilled at this point, would need to be found from elsewhere, because that is a resolution of council for a 3-year period.
So I guess my advice, Councillor, if you wanted to, it would have to be on a council meeting, not here, a committee meeting, you'd have to reopen the question at a council meeting.
So for me to vote against that portion, even though I don't want to reopen it, I can't reopen it, I'd have to vote against the whole budget essentially. Okay?
Yes.
Theoretically, yes.
I would disagree with that, but I would disagree because it's already a
Just-
decision. You
just-
can't vote against it without reopening it.
What I'm saying is like, we're voting one time on the whole budget, or are we going piece by piece, different
I have
segments
a
of the budget?
page here of resolutions that need to be, and we're going to go through them one at a time, just like we did last year. It's no different than what we did last year.
So just one more time from the, through you, Chair, I'd have to vote against the whole budget?
Just the operating portion. So you would have to vote against the operating portion.
So with that, you'll let us know when that comes up?
Yes, it's identified in each of these.
Which one would that be, so I know? We can let Council Dillon vote against it.
Number 1.
Al, did you want to speak up?
Just if I may, just to add some additional clarity here. When council made that commitment, and it was a decision of council, the corporation has made a 3-year commitment to that. So I do not believe that without significant financial and legal debate here, there would be some liability if council now decides.
I'm not opening it up, just that portion
Just
of
yours.
the budget, whatever falls in, not specific to that, but just whatever item it's embedded in, I want to vote on that. So I'm not specifically speaking to that, just whatever.
We're not reopening it, Al.
Yeah.
We'd have to do that at Council if we do that, so.
Through the budget chair, it would appear that it would be number 1, which would be the sort of all-encompassing current budget for 2018.
So you would have to vote against the whole budget.
All right.
Okay? All right, Charlotte, so are we doing,
Clarification, Mr. Chairman?
Council Bulgari?
Yeah, thank you. Just on that issue, can I ask, through you to staff, to Mr. Sutton, is there a line item in the overall budget where that funding is identified? Is there a line item in the budget somewhere? Obviously, we don't see it in this, but in the overall, in the detailed.
Through the budget chair, yes, there's, if you were actually to go to your line-by-line details that are posted online, it's not identified in this document here, the budget binder, but it would be identified in the line-by-line details. If you had, drilled down into the Strategic Communications Office, you would see the amount there.
So just to clarify, if Councillor Dillon wishes to vote against that line, which is in this year's budget, I believe he can. I believe he can do that just on that line, and the rest of the budget he can support. I don't see why, even though this has been approved in the past, but there's an amount in this budget that I believe he has a right to vote against that very line, that if he wishes to. I would think that he would have that, even though it's not here in these books. But since it's already, does exist somewhere.
Charlotte's just indicated that she is going to try to pull that out. It's not here in front of us.
Right.
So Charlotte, is that correct what you just said? Can you pull that out?
Through you, Chair Gibson, what I'll do is identify it as a specific vote, specific to that line item. Okay. And then, so on the screen, it'll appear as Part B here.
Okay, so we're making it up as we go along.
We will
so
do a number 5
okay,
down below.
Okay. Is that okay, Councillor Dillon?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So we're going to vote individually on A to D?
Yeah, I have a whole list in front of me here. The first 3 are just normal ones, and then we'll get to the ones where declarations of conflict of interest can be put on. But I'll let Charlotte do this before she can put the first one up. I believe the first one's going to be BC 001 2017, Charlotte, I think. If I'm following this correctly.
2019 as well.
Is that correct? Okay, do the council need this, committee need this read out, or can you see it's number 1? BC 0001, 2017. Okay, all in favor? That carries. Second one is a presentation by Dave and Harry. Corporate presentation, operation and capital budgets be received. We really already did that one, we'll do it again. All in favor? That carries. And this is the one I think that we need to just do the part. Okay, what I'll do, Councillor Dillon, for you is I'll take C first, and you can vote against that. So D. Did I say C? Yeah, sorry, D. The strategic communications line between item with respect to Brampton Beast. Okay, my question on this is I don't know how we can vote against this when it's already a council decision. We have to reopen it. Because what if, okay, here's a scenario. What if we all voted against this? The commitment's already there. It's a council decision. So logistically, I don't think we can vote for this. Can I get some clarification from the clerk, or?
Through you, Chair Gibson, my understanding is that the commitment has been made through the motion that was passed by council with respect to a 3-year term payment. If this line item is not approved within this budget, presumably the funding for that commitment would need to be found from other pots, if you like.
So what you're saying is we have a commitment, even though we could vote against this, we'd still have to find it somewhere else.
That would be my interpretation, yes.
Well, that doesn't make much sense to me to do that, but okay. By what the clerk tells me. So we're going to vote on number D, the strategic communication line item with respect to Brampton Beast. All in favor? Okay. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor of passing line item in the strategic communications budget with respect to the Brampton Beast, please stand. In favor, I have Councillors Fotini, Bowman, Chair Gibson, Councillor Sprovieri, Councillor Willens, and Councillor Moore.
Okay, now we'll go back to the whole motion.
Sorry, I'll do all those opposed.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, jumping in.
I have Mayor Jeffrey, Councillor Medeiros, Councillor Dillon, and the motion carries 6-3.
Okay, so now we'll go back to the whole motion portion of that. If we can scroll down a bit. Okay, you see that one highlighted there?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a point of clarification?
Yep, go ahead.
Can you, can we know where the council budget, what section that will be coming under? Is that in this section?
Through the budget chair, that is in the overall, in this.
In this particular yes. Budget corporate departments?
Correct. We have not broken out separately.
Okay, can I ask a question on that, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Okay. This is just for a clarification. This is to do with the mayor's staff. As we know, that there was one of her staff members left the city mid-year, I believe. And I'm just wondering whether there's the budget has been adjusted to reflect one less person in the department, or whether it's still there.
Through the budget chair, the position is still in the budget.
Even though there's no person that's filled that position?
Through the budget chair, I'd have to ask the mayor to speak to her budget and if she intends to recruit or fill for that position.
Madam Mayor, did you want to speak to this?
No, okay.
So I wasn't prepared to respond to that, but at this point I haven't replaced the position yet. So the budget is still there. I still need extra hands to do the work in my office, yes. It's my intention to fill the position eventually.
Well, and that's fine. I would have thought that if the person was needed, he would have been replaced already. So I'm just wondering, Mr. Chairman, that's why I asked the question whether the money was, the funding was still in there, and why that person hasn't been replaced if it was a need for that person. Perhaps before we approve before we go to council with this, if the mayor would, provide us with a justification for this position, what the position would be. And I believe last year I had asked at the budget also to if we could be provided with a job description and the responsibilities of all their staff members. But in particular, in this particular case, I think that we should do, because the person hasn't been replaced, and even though he may be needed, but I believe if he was needed, he would have been replaced by now. So perhaps I would like to know before I can give it a final approval, Mr. Chairman, if the mayor can give us or at least an explanation as to what this person would be doing, what the role of this person would be. So I would ask for that information. Otherwise,
we'll leave it up to the mayor whether or not she wants.
Yeah, if she doesn't, then when we go to council, then I'll have a reserve on this item. So I'm going to hold my. I like to just. Can we refer this particular issue to our council, and hopefully the mayor will have the information. If not, then we can then decide what to do with it.
I'll remind you that the recommendations that we make today are just recommendations for the final council meeting that we will ratify the budget in. So
right.
Anything.
Anything's open.
Yeah. These are just recommendations that we're making for the final,
all right,
which we'll talk at the end when that day will be.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you.
Councilor Dillon, are you still on or something else?
Yeah. So, and I asked Madam Clerk, I just want to be 100% clear. For number one, we had already voted on D, and now we're going to be voting individually. And A all together at once?
Yep.
Okay.
Unless there's something you want pulled out again, but
no.
Madam Clerk,
if I may, through you, Chair Gibson, what we'll be voting on under number one is everything except for the items identified in A, B, and C. So the votes on those particular portions of the budget will be done in subsequent votes, having regard for people who have expressed a conflict of interest and related to that.
So they're being voted individually then, based on the conflict?
Everything but, if you see the compensation portion of transit, we're voting on everything except for that, so that I can declare my conflict when it comes up and the mayor can declare hers. Same as the public works, there was a conflict in there, so everything in public works except for that compensation portion. And the same as in the community service department, there's a conflict, so everything but that. And then the next motions we take will allow the council members to leave when we take the rest. Okay? So I'll now take, Charlotte, am I right? We're taking A, B, and C now because D's already decided. Is that correct?
Through you, Chair Gibson, we can either do number one, everything except A, B, and C first as a vote, or if you wish, we can vote on A, B, and C we have identified below as items 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. Well, I guess A, B, and C are just saying we're not voting on that, so
correct.
Correct. So, okay, we take that vote. So all in favor, can you scroll back up again, of the highlighted portion right there? Everybody understand it?
Except D, right?
Yeah, D's done.
Oh,
The decision's
okay.
done.
Gotcha.
Correct, Charlotte?
Yes.
Yep, okay. All in favor of that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Councilor Fortini, you're not voting? That carries unanimously. Then I believe we go to number 2. Is that correct? Okay, is this where there's conflicts?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Yes, through you, Chair. We had Mayor Jeffrey and yourself declaring
Councilor Maderos,
conflict
can
on
you
this
take
item.
this portion? Hold on this one, the mayor and I agree.
Members of council, you have before you line 2 regarding the budget for the corporate department's programs, specifically related to transit department. All in favor? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Maderos. The next one, I believe Councilor Willens had a conflict on.
That's correct.
Number 3. Everybody understand number 3? All in favor? That carries. Councilor Willens, you can come back if you're still out there. Number 4, Councilor Fortini, you had a conflict on, you're leaving? Thank you. Everybody understand number 4? All in favor? That carries. Councilor Fortini, you can come back. And number 5, does everybody understand number 5, the capital budget and corporate departments and programs be approved? All in favor? That carries. Just let Charlotte catch up and move up to 6. Number 6.
If I may, through you, Chair Gibson, I
Sure.
understand that Brampton Beast funding is also identified within this item.
Okay, we've already voted on that, let people vote against it, so, okay. That might be not my phone. At number 6, that the 2019-2020 current budget for corporation departments and programs be endorsed as in principle as presented. All in favor? That carries. Sure. Well, if you didn't vote, you're opposed. So opposed? Yeah. You don't have to call opposed, but if you didn't vote, you're opposed. Okay.
So we are voting for opposed?
Yeah. Opposed?
Yeah.
It carried, but.
That's right.
I believe, number 7 now, Charlotte? That the 2019-2020 capital budget for corporation departments and programs be endorsed in principle as presented. All in favor? That carries. Number 8, that the 2018 current budget for the internal audit division be approved and presented. All in favor? That carries. Number 9, that the 2019-2020 current budget for the internal audit division be endorsed in principle as presented. All in favor? That carries. Okay. Next one is, I'm not going to read it all out, but everybody can understand this one. Establishment of Brampton Climate Action Plan be referred to the staff report. I'll give everybody a chance to read this first. Any questions on that? Okay, all in favor? That carries. The next one is delegations. All in favor? Receiving those? That carries. Next one, I believe, is the BIA, the presentation and the budget for the BIA. And that would include, I'm assuming, 1, 2, 6, Charlotte? Okay. All right, that's their presentation and budget. All in favor? That carries. Next one is a presentation by the Brampton Library and the recommendations within that. All in favor? That carries. And the next one's, where are we? This is the Brampton Transit ones. Fares increases. All in favor? That carries. Next one is the report from Dave Sutton, the operation budget and reserve report as of September 30th. Be received, and maybe I better read this one out so we all understand it. I didn't mention your name.
No, sorry, this item.
These are just re-endorsing the ones that we've already done. Okay. So this one here, maybe I should read this one out just so we're clear because it's a long one. That the report for Dave Sutton, Treasurer, Corporate Services, dated 2016-2017, the Budget Committee meeting of 2027-28, operating budget and reserve report as of September 30th be received. That the 2017 operation budget year-end surplus be offset initially by the reduction of the base budget draw from the general rate stabilization reserve. That the 2017 operation budget year-end surplus in excess of recommendations number 2 to be contributed to the general rate stabilization reserve to maintain the council approved targets of 10% of operating expenditures, and that any 2019 operating budget year-end surplus in excess of recommendation number 3 be contributed to the asset repair and replacement reserve as previously endorsed by council in long-term financial plan, and that the 2017 operation budget year-end surplus contributed as per recommendation number 4 be used to substitute the tax-supported debt for repair and replacement projects identified in the 2017 approved capital budget at the discretion of the treasurer, and that the 2017 operation budget year-end deficit be funded through the draw of the general rate stabilization reserve. All in favor? Sorry to read all that out, but I thought it was important to do that. Next one is the correspondence by the clerk. Sorry, Charlotte, I'll just let you catch up there. Okay. There's the one from the clerk. Okay. All in favor? That carries. The next one is the recommendation by that Councilor Giros brought up, and after talking to the clerk, there's a couple ways we can do this. We have a full day that day, and it's a jam-packed agenda. It's a committee day. What we could do, if we like, it does talk about a nighttime meeting, but historically we haven't had anybody coming out at nighttime except for one person in the audience there, which maybe we can ask him if he can come. I would suggest that we set a time for that, maybe it'd be 4 o'clock. And what we could do, talking to the clerk, is that if we're still going a committee, we could recess committee, do the budget, which I think normally it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and then go back into committee again if we need to be. Is that okay with everybody? That would be the understanding. So it'd be a 4 o'clock meeting. Okay? Councilor Dillon?
Sorry, what was the original? What was the original time?
Well, the clerk had put in 7 o'clock, not knowing whether we wanted a nighttime meeting or not nighttime meeting, but historically we haven't anybody coming out nighttime meetings, so we figured because it's a full day, it might be better just do it while we're here.
Yeah, I'm not sure, if somebody will come up, but since I think the people have already been informed that it's 7, so I'd have to support keeping it at 7.
Well, people have also been informed it wouldn't be this day, too, so this is why we need to make the decision today. Otherwise, we don't do it this day.
So you're talking about the 6th?
Yeah,
or the 13th?
No, this is the 6th. This is bringing it forward, as Councilor Maduro said, asked if we could.
The 13th will continue as...
No, 13th we wouldn't need anymore. Should be the 6th.
I would support 7 p.m., so that's just me.
Okay. Well, the motion's there for 4. We'll take that first. If it defeats, then we'll go to Councilor Maderos?
No, you just...
Okay. Would somebody like to move the motion? Councilor Willens? We'll take that first as amended. No, he just asked for it to come forward. It wasn't a motion. It's just This is just for information. I tried to work with the clerk to get what Councillor Maderos had asked for, and we said, yes, we can do it. So we'll take the motion as printed. It's in red. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That carries. Okay, I voted for it. Okay. And the last one is that the Budget Committee do now adjourn and meet again to call the chair. Well, the call isn't going to be until the 6th. So all in favor of that motion? Thank you, that carries. Okay, I'm going to just before I adjourn the meeting, I just want to thank this budget was probably more open to the public than any other budget we've ever done. I really want to thank staff and council. Council was the one that wanted to do that, and I really want to thank staff for all the work they've done to make that happen for the public. I appreciate it. A motion to adjourn until we come back, or recess, I don't know what we call it. Thank you, Councillor Williams. All in favor? Hands? We're adjourned.